Hello and welcome to the June edition of ForwardKeys and Friends. My name is Lawrence van den Hoever, CCO at ForwardKeys, and with me in the virtual studio, live from Valencia, we have our guests from Kiwi, Patrick Zuner, Head of Partnerships, and Wouter Veenstra, who is Managing Data Product. A very warm welcome, guys.
Good morning.
Now, before we start our chat, for the folks following us online, please feel free to jump into the conversation and shoot any questions or comments you may have through the buttons on the right side of your screen called chat or questions at any time. We'll ask them in the audience Q&A towards the end of our discussion today. As we are slowly getting into the post-COVID travel era, the industry is keen to better anticipate travel intent and demand well in advance by nationalities and by market of origin, and how to be able to influence as a brand, retailer, or a destination those travelers coming to your place. At ForwardKeys, we try to combine and complement as many relevant fresh data points possible to create a daily view on where to put your efforts to reach the highest ROI. And to do so, we've recently announced our partnership with Kiwi to ingest their data into our platform. Not all of you might be aware of the size and activities of this travel tech company. It is the first virtual airline processing 100 million search requests per day pre-COVID, and basically taken from all major OTAs, airlines, and meta searches around the globe. Okay, the first guest on stage today is Patrick. Hello, Patrick, again, and thanks for joining us today to share with us some deeper insights on the evolution of destination marketing in the digital age plus COVID-19.
Hey, good morning. Thanks a lot for having me, Lawrence.
Thanks for being with us. Patrick, there is one question in particular that really relates to destination marketing. If we look to a results-driven society, it makes sense that many destinations and brands have moved their marketing spend from traditional billboards over to online banners and digital screens, where clear metrics are almost tangible. What has been your experience when talking to these destinations and brands about the use of more digital ads, and what has the feedback been regarding the pros and the cons?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think in general, feedback is very positive from the DMOs, which we, let's say, partnered up with. They really appreciate that from the campaign planning phase till the actual campaign ends, we can set clear expectations and KPIs based on our data, right? So some are not even aware of all the possibilities regarding the digital campaign plannings and what type of campaigns are possible, but many are impressed on what is possible and that we are able to deliver true performance marketing, so to say, instead of just doing the old school billboards at the bus station with no distinct targeting.
Right. Would you say tourism organizations and brands are more knowledgeable about tracking metrics and data than before?
I would say, yeah, it all depends. It really depends on the different types of destinations, right? And how many, let's say, people they really have on being able to do those kind of measurements and marketing planning. So for instance, if you talk about Dubai tourism, they're on top of the list. They have proper KPIs and metrics for targeting in place that would not even, let's say, they would not even partner with any OTA if you don't have those. So therefore, that's, let's say, top of the list. And yet, then you have other, let's say, smaller tourist organizations. They don't even have budget for analysts or whatsoever. So they cannot do that, and they don't really know what type of, let's say, campaign and planning and marketing tracking you can do nowadays. So therefore, I would say, yes, it all depends as usual.
Sure. Patrick, what exactly can Kiwi.com data and tools offer destinations for advertising that is different from what else is out there in the market?
Yeah. So if we start, let's say, from the data, which is the most important for us, right? So how we start, and I think that's our unique point here, which we can offer, is that we have the data at hand, which is true data, search data, booking data, etc. So we know how the market moves, when the market moves, and when it's really time to invest in the campaigns, right? So that's how we, let's say, to take the DMOs at hand. So we say, okay, guys, first we need to look at your real seasonality. We look into what kind of customer segments we actually see. Yeah. So is it couples? Is it let's say families? Is it business traffic? What do we see at which month, and what kind of seasonality you have? Because sometimes what they think they have on a seasonality is not really what we see. And then you always have to distinguish between saying, okay, yes, you get those people maybe in summer, but when did they actually book? And nowadays, let's say I would say post-Corona times, lots of things change, especially the booking behavior. So it's really more flexible bookings coming along, lots of flexibility in the market. Also, with regards to destinations, it's all about, let's say, sending out the message, yes, we are here, we are safe, and please come to us. So that's kind of, let's say, the overall brand message, which needs to be there anyways. But the true differentiator is, from our side, the data point, which we will go through with our customers, and then we really start the campaign planning process based on this, define clear KPIs, and then at the end we can do the performance measurement and say, yes, it was good or it was not good. So, and that being said, it's not about just, let's say, one type of campaign, but you always talk about the whole funnel. So we can offer upper funnel, mid funnel, lower funnel. So upper funnel would be this kind of awareness campaign, which you see even here on the slides. So that's what we did for Dubai. So we really did kind of an awareness campaign, which is more of a brand awareness campaign. We started that in early spring, and that was based on the message, Dubai is safe to go, right? So the vaccination process was really, let's say, quickly there. So Dubai was open for traveling. That message we pushed out with regards to also saying, hey, for what kind of, let's say, different customer segments, right? And the main message was Dubai is for everyone. Everybody can go there, the families, the singles, everybody is there with, let's say, lots of opportunities to do in this kind of, let's say, travel time. And then what we did, we really pushed social media towards a specific, let's say, kiwi.com story article. So that's our magazine, lots of readership on a monthly basis. But on top of that, we really pushed traffic to this landing page, giving at the end 2x the, let's say, eyeballs, which we actually committed to. So it was really successful. It was the right thing to do for Dubai, because in, let's say, back in March or February, the visibility on how this Corona thingy will go was not really viewable, but they were, let's say, brave. They invested, and they really bear fruit afterwards, because Dubai was one of the top destinations in that springtime for travelers, because everybody knew it's safe to go. So let's go, right? So that was kind of a very good success story for us.
Nice. Thanks a lot for sharing a very concrete use case on Dubai. Obviously, everybody is very keen to understand the demand for this summer. And, you know, using flight search data obviously gives us some hints of what to expect. Would you be able to show us, for example, what travel to Spain will going to look like at this moment?
Yeah, so around the data, it's really interesting what's happening now. So you have, I mean, the most prospects as usual. So there's Spain, there's Greece, there's Portugal, France, all the Mediterranean countries, which are at the moment quite eager to gain these tourists back. And what we see, well, that Spain is the clear winner. Especially what you can say here from Germany. We have, let's say, Spain is now even possible without a test and with our proper certificate, because it's on the white list, and that will for sure fuel let's say, the demand even further the next coming weeks. But that being said, I would hand over to Wouter, which is our partnerships manager for data products, and he will be giving you more insights on a specific use case of Spain. Hey, welcome, Wouter.
Thanks a lot for that, Patrick, and another welcome for you, Wouter, as the guy running product management for Kiwi and a specialist in the travel intent search domain. Would you like to step in and comment a bit more on, what's the methodology behind flight search for our audience? How does that work? How is that different from other search travel intent solutions out there?
Yes. So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Patrick. So that's a very good question. So as Kiwi as a company, depends on who you ask the question to, we will get a different answer. If you ask me, Kiwi is a technology company who it has partnerships with all the big metas out there. So the meta search engines such as Skyscanner, Kayak on the one hand. So we have a lot of touch points on the markets, which results into pre-COVID times 100 million search requests a day made globally, from the very big meta searches to small boutique OTAs. So it's a very diverse focus group as well. And then on the other hand, we have access to the inventory of more than 800 transportation carriers worldwide, also going from the largest airlines out there to a small tour bus operator in Asia, right? So we combine the two, and that results into 100 million search requests a day. And to give to each single request the best possible itinerary, and this is where we get creative, we have to make 20 billion price checks a day, right? So we're sitting on a pile of data. And what we see now is pre-COVID, so I'm talking about January 2020, we saw about 100 million search requests a day. Then COVID came and it hit hard, obviously, and we saw a big spike in February, but those were the people that were panicking because they needed to go to their country of origin, etc., etc. And then it was a big drop, and it was a very slow recovery. If we take you to the data, like around November, so 6 months ago, we were around 20 million searches a day. Right now, as of today, we are at 52 million searches a day. So we are recovering. And now I need to find the slides for a second, because I lost it there. All right, so what we see in the data, so on Palma de Mallorca, the example you saw before, we see the same thing as we see in the rest of the world. And that is a very short booking window or lead time. So the time between the search, beautiful. Yes, this is a slide. So the time between the search and the date that people want to fly, it's very short, right? So what we're looking at right now is to take you through the snapshot of the data dashboard. Is that we had a look at our data set, and you see in the right top corner, you see we took 5 weeks from the 1st of May till the 7th of June, and we looked at all the searches made globally, right? So what we see is 2.2 billion searches were made in that time period. And you will see as well is that the graph you see is the travel date. So all those people searching, the biggest spike by far was in June with 678 million people who wanted to travel in that month, and you see it decline very rapidly. This is not a big issue for European, for short haul flights, where there's a very competitive market, because the planes will fill up eventually. But it comes with some challenges when you talk about long haul traffic, because it's the lead time, the time between someone searching / booking and actually flying versus on a long haul flight is much longer than it is on a short haul flight. So if those searches are not there, it's very tricky to quantify the demand and to schedule your capacity, to run your prices, etc. All right. So on the bottom, you will see the day of the week that your top 10 origin markets want to travel. So what I look like now is I look at destination the world, right? And then you see that MOW, which is Moscow, is by far the biggest source market at the moment. That's the number one source, or not by far, but that's the number one source market. So the Russians are very eager to travel. but closely followed by the French, the Americans, the Germans, the Americans again, etc., etc. So to go to the next slide, please, to the Palma de Mallorca one, we see that in that same time period, there were 17.2 million searches made for people who wanted to travel to Palma de Mallorca. Not a surprise, the top 6 are all Germans. The Germans love Palma de Mallorca. They're colonizing the island like they are the other years as well. But this is the trend that we keep seeing, and it follows the same trend line as the global set as well. So this is the data that we look at, and yeah, so that's us as a technology company, and this is what we do. We help our clients, and we do that ourselves, or we do it via partnerships, to basically to have a look into the future. Because what we saw in the past, and I'm not talking about the far past, I'm talking about 1 or 2 years ago, then the search data was kind of an abstract thing. It was difficult to quantify because there was this noise, there was this pollution. So people and companies tend to be more willing to go to booking data or ticketing data or capacity data. But what we see right now is COVID has helped the reputation of search data tremendously, because we've seen this trend that you don't have any bookings, but that doesn't mean that there isn't demand, because there can be a lot of demand, but because of government restrictions, it's not materializing, it's not converting into any bookings. So, and when the bookings are there, when the people are ready to book, you need to be there beforehand. So this is the trend we see, and we look at the data in general, big data, the topic big data, where in the past, we were happy to receive some government statistics 6 months after the travel date, and we want to go more and more we want to be more aware on the higher in the funnel. So then we had booking data, ticketing data, and now search data is the next big thing.
Right, Wouter. So search is really picking up. Demonstrates to be a good KPI set for upcoming demand. But if you speak with your clients, if you show and bring to the industry what this means, what are most people most surprised by when they look into search as another KPI of really understanding how demand is piling up?
Well, I think people are most surprised by how much data you can already get from search, because there's already so much information about the behavior of the customer, and that is so vital, especially right now, because companies need to reinvent themselves, and they need to maybe attract different kind of passengers to their destination. So it becomes more important to get these profiles ready higher in the funnel, and not after you can actually see them on the island or on your destination. And I think people are also very surprised by the amount of people searching for their destination. I get a lot of surprises that they think like, wow, why am I struggling to fill my hotels, or why am I struggling to meet the budgets to get the people to my destination if there are so many people looking, right? So it's really with a flashlight in a dark room. Like, it depends where you point the thing, and people see now with the bigger flashlight, which is search, it's a very bright light, that there is actually a lot of things that they never knew about their travelers, and the travelers that come to their destination, but then they're being forgiven because they actually come, but it's more importantly the ones that don't come. So how do you if you see those ones, like if you identify those, how do you address those? And that is, we quantify the demand, really, that is search.
Right. Wouter, Kiwi is now an official data partner of ForwardKeys, which means travel organizations will benefit from two streams in the ForwardKeys portfolio, being the might of combining travel intent merged with actual ticketing data and forecasts for demand and supply. How do you think this will change the way travel businesses will do their demand planning in the future? And what do you think is the strength of this partnership?
Oh, good question. Well, there are a lot of strengths, right? Because in the world of data, you need to have as many data points. right? So you need to be able, if you have the possibility to put a number, a conversion rate on 1,000 searches convert into 10 bookings, and if I do it slightly different, then this 1,000 searches convert into 15 bookings. This is key, because then, and that's why you need the other data sets, and you need to have the industry know-how, which ForwardKeys has, is to ask the right business questions. Because if you have your hypothesis and you say, okay, this, I have hypothesis A based on this search data set for this particular market, and if we tweak it a little bit, then we see an increase in bookings, right? And if you go there, then you will be able, that's the holy grail, because then you will be able to forecast so far in the future by comparing the two. If 10 searches result in one booking, then this will, and that happened the last 2-3 years, then this will happen in the future with a 90% accuracy. So we will be able, whether you're a tourism destination organization or you're a travel retail company, you will be able to add another data point to your data portfolio and make a even more, the example of the flashlight in the dark room, you get a bigger flashlight because you will be able to see more.
Yeah, that's right. And then we're really keen to make the next moves on that partnership as well, and integrating those data points specifically also for constrained demand and for basically unserved routes, for really looking into the market, where are those points of reactivation. And as we're starting to see spots of reactivation in,
because we see the recovery, we see some markets recovering, right? So then the question is like, what do you do? Because we need now more than ever, you need to be spot on in approaching your target audience, right? So what I would say from a data point of view is obviously get as many data points as you want, as you can have, and also be creative. And whether it is a data coming from a traveler analytics company such as ForwardKeys, but also be creative, use your own data as well. Have a look at what your actual passenger numbers were over the last few years, and then you have a look at what the search demand was giving you over those last few years, and then you will be able to get a glimpse of what is going to happen in the future. And then the second one, and this is not strictly on data, but is try to reinvent yourself. Try to reinvent yourself by maybe addressing a different type of audience. I'm not saying that you need to completely go 180 degrees in a different direction. No, but try to find the silver lining in this COVID crisis as well. Is there are so many people who love to travel, and they were all of a sudden they were locked into their houses, and they were locked into their walls with families, etc., etc. We all know what the situation looks like, and you see those people, they are urging, they want to get out. And these are not your typical the VFR, the visiting friends and relatives, or the 4-day weekend trip. Try to find the passengers that can do, the travelers that, for instance, the digital nomads, right? The digital nomads that have been in their rainy city in Berlin, and they now want to work. They have seen that they can work remote, and more importantly, their employee has seen that they can work remote. And these people, they want to go to a sunny destination. They want to go out in the wild. And these are not, remember, these are people who will stay 1 or 2 months in your destination, or travel around, and they will go as a couple. And this is only one example. People are really desperate to get out, and we will see different kinds of travelers. We will really see that with not yeah, as I said, it's not what we had before. It's going to be a new situation, and that's a beautiful thing, because it allows us to find new ways of attracting different kind of people who will lead you to an expansion in a different kind of market.
But maybe to add to Wouter, and that's exactly the same, right? So these old school, let's say VFR kind of leisure, etc. These kind of segments. That's, let's say, where you will find new segments. As you mentioned, the digital nomads, remote workers. They spend more money in the destination. Just to add that, I think that's going to be very interesting moving forward. Yeah.
Yes. No, definitely, and it's very interesting time, because for a lot of destinations, for brands, retailers, it's not about just having the data. It's really to answer those specific questions that we're all challenged with. Am I attracting the right audience at the right moment? What can I do to make shifts in order to attract different audiences from different areas, or spend more, or bring more quality to my destination? We've been working for months to get your data into our products, and we will soon release that within our destination gateway, within travel statistics and other products. Now, let's see what questions we have from the audience in the last 5 minutes of this webinar. Are there any questions coming from the audience we have that we can quickly pick up? I'm sure they are. Let me see. Okay. One question is the following. Will this flight search data by ForwardKeys just be relevant for DMOs, or can travel retailers tap into that as well? I leave the question for Wouter, because you've seen the different use cases that destinations versus travel retailers are having with the data and the point of view how to utilize the data source. Wouter?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if there's one one big lesson in the world of data, is that the data we get from a flight, people searching for flights, it's not only applicable for those directly involved in the industry chain, right? So we see these stickers, the way these identifiers, and we can see them if the planes are yellow instead of white, then there are more people that are younger than 20 on the plane, right? So these kind of stickers are things that we see widely being used already by the industry. And if we look at our current customer portfolio, there is in our partnership portfolio, there is less than half of the people who are using our data are directly involved in the chain, right? So if you are a travel retailer, then you need to understand, you need to get a glimpse of where are the people traveling and what kind of solutions are they being proposed, right? So if you see that I want to travel from Europe to Southeast Asia, then you need to understand the gateways that they follow to get there, right? And in order for you to utilize those gateways, I talk about transfer hubs and people having some dwelling time in the terminal, then you need to understand, like, what are the biggest source markets, how are they connected, and when do they want to travel, how frequently do they want to travel to their destination. So yeah, absolutely, it's definitely usable by I would say even more so by non-directly aviation companies.
Well, and I just to add on that, a destination would look at it from an inbound perspective, would like to understand, from my main source markets, where is travel demand coming from? What we've learned so far from the travel retail, travel brands area is to say, well, listen, that's more an outbound perspective of your 8 key nationalities. What is their travel intent? What are their top 10 destinations that they're looking at? And obviously, the embedding of the data, the combination of how to make that available is specifically designed for those different target areas, whether you are indeed coming from an inbound or outbound perspective. There's one other question I have here. Flight search data teamed up with real-time ticketing data in the future. But what do you think about the use of historical data, and how can that help to validate decisions along the way? What's the purpose, and what is still the value of looking back in historical times before today on search data? Wouter?
Yeah, well, only time will tell how valuable it is, but I would yeah, so search data has always been there, right? But it was usually only available to the ones operating the service. So only the airline knew the demand, right? So, and the airports or the destination or the travel retailer, they only saw the output. They didn't know what was going in to get this result, right? We now, because as Kiwi, as a technology company with this huge data set, from a very diverse scala of different kind of companies, we now know with the historical data, we now know what went in and what went out, right? So if you look at the complete total search demand and you translate it into ticketing, and you can see what happened in the past, you will be able to see what happened in the future. And I started with saying like only time will tell, because obviously the behavior has changed of the traveler, but still we're human. And even though we face more insecurities right now when it comes to travel, we are a bit more cautious. We will go back to our old habits, and that's my firm belief. And to add to that, and that's more on the previous question, is that you now know, if you're a travel retailer, if you talk about ticketing, it already happened, right? They are already in your terminal and you have some forward-looking data, but now you will be able to go even further, higher up in the funnel, to see, backtesting the thing, saying like, these searches led to X amount of people in my terminal, then these searches will lead with a 70 or 80 or 90% accuracy will lead to Y amount of people in my terminal. So you will be even better to staff your capacity, to staff your resource, to plan the capacity resources, to plan your next shop, store, to address a new segment, because you can do so with because you can do so higher up in the funnel.
Right. So basically, historic information helps a lot in order to use your scenario plannings for the future ahead. That's a very interesting use case as well, taken from search data, specifically linked to the obvious, real ticketed transaction towards that. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Unfortunately, time is running up. Patrick, Wouter, thanks a lot for being with us. Time is quickly running out now. Let me quickly thank you in the audience for your time, and our guests from Kiwi for shedding some much needed light on the innovations to come for travel intent and for travel demand. It's reassuring to see that despite smaller numbers for now, people still do wish to travel for this summer and for 2021 ahead. Stay on top of all the latest news and developments, and subscribe to our newsletter or follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. See you around. Thank you all for attending, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Lauren, thank you. Thanks for hosting. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.